Garrett here with Old Breed Outdoors with another episode of our Field to Table series. So kicking it back off again for 2022. If you've been following along, hopefully you've seen all of our 2021 Field to Table videos. We did a bunch of videos last year, and think they came out pretty good, and hopefully you guys enjoyed them. For those of you that were able to watch them, if you haven't, go back and check them out. So, at any rate, we're picking it back up this year and doing some of the processing from the 2021 deer season. Again, if you've been following along with our channel, I was able to put 4 deer in the freezer from my Pennsylvania hunt, and Chris and Steph were able to get some deer on there as well. For me, I'm trying to make some hamburgers here today, and I've already made some, plain old just ground meat to have in the freezer for ground meat recipes. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that one out. Did 25 pounds this year, which was a little bit more than twice what I made last year. I just I made a bunch of sausage and stuff and ran out of meat for this plain ground. So I am out of ground meat and needed to get some in the freezer. So this year I kind of prioritized that. So I talked about that in the last video with the ground meat and different things to do for kind of making the plan for how you do your ground meat processing, whether it be for sausage or bologna, summer sausage, whatever it is that you're going to make. Kind of building out that plan, keeping a record so you know how much you're using throughout the year, so you can have a better idea of what you need. So it's something I started doing last year, and I'm going to keep doing and kind of refine as I go, so I kind of know what it is I need throughout the year. But at any rate, I'm going to get busy here on the hamburgers. I'm making 22 pounds of hamburgers, and you'll see I have a Weston burger press set up, and I'll do quarter-pound burgers. I'll weigh them out in little quarter-pound pieces, put them in there, and then package them up for the freezer. But I've got my Weston grinder here that puts makes quick work of what I'm doing. So can't complain. I start with the venison. I just partially thaw the venison. I find it's much easier to work with it when it's mostly frozen. It just seems that when it goes through the grinder, it's much easier. You get a better consistency. It's almost like pellets with the coarse grind. So having it still mostly frozen seems to be a lot easier. You just want to be able to cut it into smaller cubes. It's already pretty well cut down, but be able to cut further down to get it through the grinder easier. It just seems to be much easier to deal with. So I've got 18 pounds of that, and then I've got 2 pounds of beef fat. So this is something, if you've been paying attention with our channel, that I really like to use. What I have really found last year was really just an availability and a cost thing. I'm able to get this beef fat from a local butcher. It's locally raised, sustainably raised, beef, pork, chicken, the whole 9 yards. I get this beef fat for 99 cents a pound. You can't really beat that. But it's also, if I'm grinding venison for use in the same type of thing I would use ground beef for, well, it's going to be beef fat. So I find, as far as the flavor profile for what I'm trying to get when I'm cooking with this after the fact, it's perfect. It's exactly what I want. So for the hamburgers, I'll do the 18 pounds of the venison, 2 pounds of the beef fat, and then I also add in bacon. So I'll do 2 pounds of bacon. I'll dice it up real small and then mix it all in with it. So they're bacon burgers. It's how we like it here in our family. I try to keep everything pretty lean. I don't want to put a whole lot of fat in there. So just whether it be for home use, I like my meat nice and lean. Or if it's camp meat, I like nice lean camp meat. At any rate, last year I did a video on how I do these hamburgers. This year I'm going to do a slightly different variation. The same basic core ingredients, but then I've got some seasonings I'm going to mix in. So I figured I'd share that with you guys here today and just some lessons learned. So anyway, I'm going to get busy getting this process here so we can get to making hamburgers. Alright, so we've got the venison through the course plate, and it didn't take much time at all. And got it all in my bucket here, and I'm ready to go. Now moving on to the beef fat. So I got that all cubed up and ready to go through the course plate, and then after that we'll move on to getting the bacon cut up. That doesn't go through the grinder until it goes through the on the fine grind. It'll go through then, but I'll just chop it up, get it ready to mix in with the coarse, with all the coarse grind once I do the final mix there before it goes through the grinder and ready for making patties. So with that, let's get this fat taken care of. This won't take long at all. Okay, so the last step, and as far as the meat portion goes here, you know, before we go through the fine grind, is cutting up all this bacon. So like I said, I'm gonna put 2 pounds of bacon in here. So it'll be, like I said, 18 pounds of the venison, and then 2 pounds of the beef fat, and 2 pounds of this bacon. And I've been doing this for a long time, as far as the bacon thing with my burgers, and it's just really good. So, I mean, bacon makes everything better, right? So, get this cut up, and then we'll be ready to start mixing the venison, the bacon, and the beef fat, and then add in the seasoning mix that I'm going to put in. Nothing fancy, just kind of eyeball it. That's what I do. Okay, so what I've done now is I've got the bacon all chopped up. So I've taken the bacon, beef fat, and the venison, and I've divided it up between 2 bins, so I have smaller batches so I can get it into my meat mixer. Took a spatula and kind of mixed up a little bit. Now we're going to spoon all this into our Weston meat mixer, and then start mixing it all up. Okay, so we got it all mixed up. Now we're going to throw some seasoning in here, mix that up, and we should be good. So as far as mixing in the seasoning, so just like when you're making sausage, I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. That helps with the seasoning, getting it mixed up. So I've got pepper, garlic, oregano, onion powder, and salt all in here. Not a whole lot, just enough. Sprinkle that in there. You don't want to overpower the meat. So, put it in there. Let's keep mixing. All right, well, got it all mixed up. It looks great. So, again, this is not much different than what I did last year in the video that you guys, if you've seen it. Really, the only difference is, you know, putting in the seasoning. And like I said, keep it simple. Just some pepper, some salt, onion powder, oregano, and garlic. Just enough to give it a little extra flavor. Not to say that the burgers I made last year didn't have a lot of flavor, but I just wanted to try something a little different to get a little bit better kick. You know, it's something that, you know, I'm trying to work on. You know, this year is really work on my repertoire as far as, you know, recipes and different things. And there's going to be a lot more videos to come in the next several months. You know, throughout the rest of this winter and spring and summer. I'm trying to do a lot of different things other than just processing, but also actual cooking, you know, videos. Doing some experimentation with some stuff. So that being said, that's kind of why I wanted to do this video. You know, even though I already had one video from doing the hamburgers, just good to show a little different. You know, and plus, you know, maybe show some things a little bit more in detail. But now that I have all this mixed up, I'm gonna run through my fine grind, get that real nice consistency, and then I'll be ready to go on the burger press. Well, alright, the fine grind is done, and I've got it all here in my bucket. Put it here in the sink, so make myself a little extra room. So I've got my Weston burger press here. I've got the double press, single press worked just fine. but I went with this thinking maybe it might be a little faster. And I've got these little parchment paper squares, which are perfect for separating your burgers when you stack them. So I put them right on the press here, and I've got my food scale, and I'm doing quarter pounders. So literally measure out a quarter pound of burger, put it on the press, and then start pressing out burgers. I did take a little bit of cooking oil here, spray it on the top here to help keep it from sticking them. And I haven't really had a problem with it in the past, but this makes some really nice little burgers. So what I'll do is I'll just take my little quarter pound here of burger, a ball, throw that on the center of the press here, measure out another quarter pound. I'm using a little dish here to make it a little bit easier, a little bit less of a mess. But this is quite honestly probably the most tedious portion of this, is taking 22 pounds, quarter pound at a time, do that math, and pressing them out into burgers. So you just push these down, and then give them a little push, and then they push right out. Oops, something I forgot. You're going to want to have a spatula to make this a little bit easier to separate. It's not sticking, but this just helps separate. Oops. And then what you get is a nice little quarter pounder, just like that. So I'm going to stack these up on my cookie sheet, because what I'm going to do, one of the lessons learned from last year was what I ended up doing is I stacked all these up and I vacuum sealed them, but I did it when they were still fresh like this. So I ended up doing stacks of 2, slide them into a vacuum seal sleeve and vacuum seal them. And what I found is that they kind of mushed the burger a little bit. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to stack all these up, and then I'm going to on the cookie sheet, and then I'm going to freeze them in my my big freezer, then package them. That way they hold their form. So essentially what you get here is just like if you were to go to the store and buy, like the bread loaves, bag of burgers, frozen burgers in the freezer section. It's essentially what you're going to get here. I don't have any bags like that, otherwise I would do it that way, but I also don't want to get freezer burnt. So what I'll end up doing is I'll do packages of 4, because that seems to be ideal for when I do hamburgers and hot dogs for the family. I'll get a package of hot dogs and a package of hamburgers, 4-piece, and that's enough for dinner, and then maybe for leftovers during the week to have for lunch. So this works out perfect. But I'm going to get busy doing these because this is going to take a while. Well, I'm finally done pressing out all these burgers. It is took me a little bit to do this, so just make sure that when you plan this out to do something like this, you have plenty of time to do it, which is why I'm doing it in the morning, so I have plenty of time to get it done. Because pressing out 22 pounds of hamburgers, quarter pound at a time, takes a little bit of time to do. But it's worth it for the end product. As you can see, I've got a nice pile. This is half of it. The other half I already have in the freezer, freezing down. And I'll get ready to put this in. Once these are all frozen, I'll pull them back out and get them all packaged up into 4 burger packages. So we'll see you in a little bit. Well, probably more in a little bit. Alright, well, we're back. We got the hamburgers are mostly frozen. They're probably maybe like halfway, 2/3 of the way frozen. Just enough that they're a little bit easier to work with. The problem is when they're fresh, obviously they're just mushy, and trying to wrap them doesn't work well. And last year what I had done is I vacuum sealed them, and I just wasn't happy with it. So this year I wanted, as I had said before, I just freeze them, and then I can wrap them in my saran wrap and freezer paper that I'd use for everything else I do. So pretty simple. I've already done half of them already. So I just grab 4 burgers from my 4 burger package here, As I said, this is about what we use for a meal for the family. Same thing I do with my other stuff, end to end, with the saran wrap here. And then do the sides, roll those up over. And I'm just trying to get this nice and tight without trying to, mess it up too bad. And granted, as I said, these aren't completely frozen, so they're not like little bricks, but just enough I can work with them without misshaping them. I grab my freezer paper, corner to corner, go over once, tighten that up, pull the sides over. Grab my tape, a little strip of tape here. There you go, done. Venison Bacon Burgers. There's 4 of them on today's date. That's a wrap, literally. So there you go, I'll throw that in my bucket with the rest of these. Getting ready for the freezer. So there you have it. Appreciate you guys following along as always. Like I said before, a lot more to come this year on this on the 2022 edition of the Field to Table series. So if you haven't checked it out, go back and see all our stuff from last year, and make sure you reach on down, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everybody that's been following along. Give us a like, leave a comment, and come back and see us again.